that if we focus, we can come out of all the things that people are concerned about better than we went in. How many of you just looking to do better, greater, and more? More, better, greater. Show of hands, show of hands. Okay.
Sounds good, Mr. Hardon.
Good to see you. Good to see you. So as we get going, as we start into this conversation, there's a couple of things I want to make sure to do, because by way of disclosure, I feel like anytime somebody's going to share information with you, it's important that you know who that person is. But my story probably isn't that much different than anybody on this line, meaning I did what they said to do. How many of you did what they said to do? Meaning, well, let me make sure I'm clear about what they said to do. They said go to school, get good grades, so you can go to college, so you can get a degree, so you can get a good job with benefits. How many of you were told that thing?
Yes.
And how many of you did that to the best of your ability?
Yes.
And how many of you found out that wasn't enough to get what you wanted out of life? So I had the same situation. I went to school, I got good grades, meaning from my 8th grade to senior year, I didn't get anything below a 93. Oh wait, y'all can clap for that. That's I'm from Atlanta, and that is inner city public school in the South. So they called me things that were not my given name for a long time. What y'all call that kid at your school? I know, nerd, geek, bookworm. I've heard them all.
Bookworm.
But the last year, they called me the valedictorian, and they've called me that ever since. So I had no doubts that I'd learned everything that the curriculum said I was supposed to in my high school education, got an academic scholarship, went off to Duke University, and at Duke, I double majored. I had degrees in electrical engineering and computer science, 2 degrees, 4 years. And I'm excited to say that I actually did get out into the workplace and get the good job. And then I got a rude awakening. How many of you have ever had a rude awakening? Now, when I say rude, what I mean is getting out there and finding out that the money that you thought you were making, that was an aspiration level, still had me living check to check. Meaning that as my wife and I built our family, we started having kids, I suddenly realized that kids get more expensive every time they breathe. And at the same time, I found myself just looking for a way to understand what happened to the money. Anybody ever get a check and look around a day or two later and say, what happened to the check? Already ready to spend the next check?
Yeah.
And so in that way, we're not that much different. But here's what I found is that education makes a difference. Because there were several things that we weren't taught, fundamental flaws in our education that put us in a situation where most people generally have a relationship with their money where it comes in and leaves them. They don't spend any time together. Anybody really?
Yeah.
So let's jump in and talk about a couple things. Now I'm going to share my screen, but more than sharing the screen, I want to make sure to share the concept of income shifting. So if you are taking notes on this conversation, make sure to jot that down, income shifting. Now, for most people, they had not heard of the concept before a financial educator like me came along to teach it. But here's the simple concept. So if you're just a short definition, income shifting is a set of strategies for putting more of your money back in your pocket. Now, if you ask the question, well, put the money back in my pocket, where did it go? So there are 4 challenges that people face when it comes to finances. Everybody living in America, working for a living, there's 4 sources that shift our income away. It's inflation, debt, taxes, and big business. Now, those are the 4. I'll come back to why it matters, but it's especially relevant today, meaning 2020 is just a whole different kind of year. How many of you are looking around and saying, how did it get to be September already? Meaning in real life, it's time for back to school. It's time for the kids to learn different things, but it's also time for us to go back to school and learn different things. And 2020 has been the year that exposed it because there's no escape. Meaning there's a little virus nobody can see. And it affects a percentage of people around the world. But I think that the world right now is experiencing psychological and financial infections. How many of you agree with that idea? Meaning just looking down the list of things that happen because of the word that I'm not going to say. You got social distancing, you got sports closing down, you got all this economic uncertainty. A record number of people are realizing that they did not have a job, they had a position, and it could be eliminated with no notice. and even the escape, being able to get away in entertainment, even going to church, all of those things are different than they were. And that makes time for us to focus on the real challenges. Because if you think across all of the things that take money out of our pockets, the number one thing, Michael, if I ask you out of those things, inflation, taxes, debt, or big business, which one would you say is the biggest problem to the working man?
Inflation.
Inflation. You know what? I agree, because inflation is a silent killer. It's sneaky, right? It sneaks up on you. And for those of you that don't have a formal definition, didn't factor this into the equation, inflation is simply the price of things going up over time, and it's controlled by businesses. But at the same time, the average working person doesn't have the ability to make their income go up in proportion. And for most of our lives, income has been at a steady pace, 4% per year. Easiest place to see it, at the gas pump. Back when I started driving, Michael, you could get gas for $79.9. So you'd be at the gas pump with $20 and you could fill up the tank, meaning the dollars were going slow and the gas was going fast, and I still could get change from $20. Now, if I take $20 to put it in the tank, I need to be sure I know where the next gas station is, because now the dollars are going fast and the gallons are going slow. Making sense? Now, the second one is taxes, meaning most people don't realize this. You know, the biggest bill in our house is taxes. And it works this way. The first third of the average working person's income goes to taxes. 1/3 of your check is gone before you even get your check. Does that make sense?
Richard Hardon.
Sir,
All
yes,
these
sir.
guys are out of Atlanta. Richard
Hey, good to see
Hardon,
you, sir.
when he started, he had a.
Hang on. Good to see you, Greg. We'll talk to you in a second. But here's the idea. Think about this. Once that 1/3 is gone, now you're in a position trying to make up for it, and every dollar you spend is taxed. Say the average American works from January to April just to pay income taxes. And so those two things together, if you think about it, Earl, if we got inflation taking a bite, making a dollar worth less, taxes taking the first third, you know, I believe that that causes the next problem, which is debt.
It makes sense.
I mean, think about it. You don't have enough because the government and inflation took it away. And now people are taught to fund everything they need, paying on time.
Absolutely.
And what you know, here's something I didn't think about. Do you know that life is a measure of time? Meaning when they put you in the ground, they measure a beginning and an end. And if you are giving away your time, do you know that you are actually giving away life? So we got to get to that place. The next third of everybody's income goes to inflation. And then the third, let's just call it capitalist culture. Meaning we were born into a capitalist culture, but we were all taught to be capitalized on, not taught to be capitalists. Am I making sense to you?
Absolutely.
Meaning the way that businesses operate, the way they build their year, their schedule, their advertising, it extracts the last dollar that most people have left. Now, here's the good news, because I'm here to talk about good news. The good news is their solutions, because here's, as much as those challenges exist, I did not end my workday jump excitedly on the Zoom to talk to you about challenges. We're talking about solutions, because in this year, 2020, not everybody's losing. Meaning if you look at the companies on this page, how many of you see some companies you recognize? Like Amazon, Purell with the hand sanitizer. I don't know how I got this collection of masks, but it looks like I could dress as a different character with social distancing for DragonCon every day if I chose to. But think about all the things that they're doing. They're providing solutions to people to help them overcome the barriers which have been made bigger because of what 2020 has been. Does that make sense? Now, the name that people don't know is the one they need. MWR Financial. More than you need a smiley box delivered in a Mercedes-Benz truck, people need financial solutions. And Make Wealth Real, that's what MWR stands for. So if you didn't know before today, write that down in your notes. MWR, Make Wealth Real Financial, is helping people solve the problems that they face as they go through their days. So what do we provide? What are the solutions? Because here's the secret. If you focus on the challenges, they get bigger. If you focus on the solutions, your bank account gets bigger. How many of you rather just have a bigger account?
Mhm.
So we provide three things, three solutions that are perfect for where we are in the world today. Meaning the first thing that we got to do and understand is more people than ever are spending more time at home. And it's the perfect time to understand that a home-based business, write that down. If you have a job, a W-2 job where your only source of income is your paycheck, a home-based business is the best financial investment you can make because it does a couple of things for us. And I see some good friends on. Oh, I see my new friend, Liza Dillard. How many of you know that Liza Dillard is tearing up the world? Some new things that as home-based business owners, we have the opportunity to do that the average person doesn't. Meaning, number one, we get to get taxed like a business. See, businesses get taxed different from us. They get to work, earn money, and they get taxed on what's left, and they get taxed less on what's left. That's why Amazon didn't pay any income taxes until 2 years ago. How long have you been seeing the name Amazon?
Forever.
They made billions, but they were just properly structured to get taxed on what was left. How many of you would like to spend first, get taxed later? We'll tell you how that goes. Now, the second thing that we're able to do is we are leveraging virtual solutions. Meaning right now, as I heard people coming on the call checking in, I heard Rochester, Jacksonville, I heard Tallahassee, Alabama, somebody's from Kansas City. I don't think they're in Kansas City, but that's where they hail from. People all over the country are right now having a conversation, leveraging Zoom. And not only Zoom, because we're streaming on Facebook, it's maybe 50 people in the room here, but hundreds will see what we're doing tonight. And by tomorrow, we'll be at 1,000 views. Just got video. It's the gift that keeps on giving. So what the old notion of home-based business was, you're not doing that. Home is the base, but we're going worldwide, one conversation at a time. Make sense?
Mhm.
And then the last thing, and this is one of my favorite aspects, is understanding the business concept and our system. See, we give people access to a team of financial experts. And I know people are asking, well, what's the business? It's three roles in this business and in this conversation. Meaning, when you're new and get started, you expose. What does that mean? I invite people to Zooms, or I start a watch party and share with my friends on Facebook what I'm excited about. Extra digit movement. We're that movement that is built on the idea of putting one digit in front of your net worth. We educate. So that's what I'm doing. I'm teaching. And then MWR, we have a team of experts that execute on the financial strategies. And let me make sure that that concept is clear, meaning I am not a financial planner, a tax advisor, or a credit specialist, but I do have a team that does those things flawlessly all day, every day. How many of you think somebody that does something all day, every day could do it better than you, especially if you weren't taught to do it? Now, I'm educating, meaning I'm sharing the conversation, and I want you to look very carefully at the person that invited you to the Zoom if their face is even available. I want you to look at them now. If they're not me, what is that person doing? Let me help you out. They're doing nothing. No, I take that back. They're exposing. They already did their job. They invited people to hear about the information, and then the only thing that people have to do is decide what they want to do now that they have information. Am I making sense? So what do we provide? What do our experts do? What is our team doing? I'm going to ask some of the people that have joined our call just to share some of their testimonies as we go through. So if I call your name or if I don't call your name, know that I want to hear from you. Does it make sense? So here's what we offer. MWR, Make Wealth Real Financial Edge membership has 4 core basics: Money Max, Credit Max, Equity Max, and Wealth Max. Now, Michael, you are new to this conversation, yes?
Yes, sir.
All right. So I'll say it again for you just to make sure that we got it. Money Max is our tax reduction strategies. Credit Max is our credit restoration strategies. Equity Max, debt elimination strategies. And Wealth Max, wealth generation strategies. What word did you hear me say 4 times just now?
Strategies.
Strategies. It's all about strategies, not sales. Once you understand what we do, if I have to sell this to you, we have bigger issues than I need to solve.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, think about this, for $228 one time and $119 a month, that's less than $4 a day, you get access to the system, but more importantly, to make money from helping people learn about the system. That's as simple as what we do is. Now, I put the price up front so that you can measure it in terms of value. Because here's the great thing about 228. I like to help people get comfortable. And Liza, what's the one thing people can be comfortable knowing about 228? Because here's the great thing about 228.
I didn't hear you.
I said, what's the one thing people can be comfortable about with 228?
They spend more money on less profitable things.
Right. Well, that's what it is. The 228 means you got it. You got $228 mistakes in your closet. You probably gonna make some $228 excitement over the weekend. It's not a lot of money, but it's an amazing amount of value once you have pros go to work doing the things that they do. And before they even met you, let me show a few of the amazing things that MWR has done. Because if you haven't heard of it, it's because we're new. We're just getting rolling, but we've already produced some amazing results for people. Meaning with Money Max, we've already saved and shifted back to people a little bit more than $5 million per month from the IRS. That's $60 million a year that we've helped people get back from their taxes. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
We have helped thousands of people raise their credit scores anywhere from 50 to 150 points and more. And with Equity Max, imagine this. In under a year, we've helped people eliminate over $500 million. That's $500 million, y'all, in interest payments and saving them, reducing their time in debt by 13,600 years. And we're just getting rolling. This last one is most exciting to me. We created over $5 million in annual investment income off of investments of 25 million. For any of you that play the numbers game, I'm gonna just tell you, that's a 20% return on the year.
Wow.
And we did all that while increasing how much we paid people from just $35,000 a month when we got started in this movement to actually $410,000 a month in just 12 months, and we just getting rolling. Now, what do you get when you get the system? Well, you get a portal that gives you access to each of the strategies. And the first strategy we like to work with people is based on the priority of the challenge, meaning if the biggest challenge that's out of our control, that is run by professionals, is taxes, wouldn't it be great to have somebody to work on taxes on your behalf on the front end? Yeah. So that's what we do. We're called Home of the Instant Pay Raise, and we help people go through a process where they they send in their last 2 pay stubs and their previous year's tax returns. The experts go to work analyzing what they've spent, incorporating the value they get from a home-based business, and give them a pay raise from their job. Am I making sense?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's look down the line and see who we see here. So, matter of fact, let me come out of this view for a second. I see my friend Anthony Clements. Is there anybody else that wants to do a Money Max testimony?
I can, Richard.
Okay, so I already talked about the process. So just tell me the before number and the after number in terms of taxes and how much they gave you as a raise. And now, Samad, did I hear that you just had a new executive join your team?
Yep.
Awesome. All right.
Also, yeah, real quick, Richard, me and my wife, we did what we were told to do in terms of uploading our documents. My wife got back an additional $610 in her paycheck. I got back an additional $580. So between a school teacher and a social worker, that's $1,200 in additional we have in the household now.
Okay, that is awesome right there. That is awesome. Let's make sure I got the math right. 600 plus 600, that's 1,200. That is impressive. Now, to get to that 1,200, did you have to work any more hours?
No more hours.
You didn't have to ask anybody.
Didn't ask my boss anything.
And you didn't have to sell anything or recruit anyone. That was your money.
That was my money.
So everybody is taking notes. That's the first part of the shift is get your money back, right? Get your money back from the places that shifted away. And if taxes take so much, make sure that you get it back. Now, who else? Did I see Anthony? Anthony, are you there?
I'm here.
All right.
See me? Can you see me?
Let's see. There he is.
Can you see me? Hear me?
Yep, I see you now. Here you go.
Okay, awesome. Well, when I did exactly what you had described the process, I received a $475 increase with my job. which totals out to be $5,700 every single year.
Awesome. Now, take this in mind. So, Anthony, you said $500?
No, it's $475.
$475. Okay, I rounded it up in my mind. That's what it sounds like. $475 when somebody asks me for it sounds like $500. $475 when somebody gives it to me says that's mostly $500. And you know, one of the great things about two real cases, both in this case educators, averaging an extra $500 to $600 a month. Now, who could use an extra $500 to $600 a month? It turns out just about everyone could, especially if it's their money and you have experts to help with the process. Now, at the same time, we talk about business deductions. One of the things a traditional home business owner will tell you is we're eligible for 475 deductions versus someone that just has a job, only eligible for 9. But it turns out that in my career, I was terrible at accounting. How many of you are not accountants? Yeah, so I would collect the receipts. I know I was eligible, but just taking the time to get to the receipts and add them up before the ink faded was challenging.
Yeah.
With TaxBot, I actually have an artificial intelligence assistant. I like saying that too. It's on my phone. And it actually knows when I get in the car and drive, it asks me a question. It says, I'm tracking this trip. And when I arrive at my destination, it says, was this trip for business? Which reminds me to make sure this trip was for business. So you know, all I got to do is say, you know, have you ever heard of income shifting? Whatever they say, I'm good. But here's the best thing about the process. You can also help other people qualify for the instant pay raise so that they can take advantage of the process too. Now, the next thing we get into, and I'm dealing with a lot of different professionals, real estate agents, etc. Hang on. Screen got blank for a minute. That was real disorienting. A lot of real estate professionals on the process of helping people qualify for things, because you know that credit determines the amount that you pay for things. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
Meaning, the higher your credit score is, the lower your interest rate is. The lower your interest rate is, the lower your payment is, and therefore the higher your cash flow is. So with Credit Max, we have a simple process. Again, we upload the documents and the experts do the work. And with the Credit Max process, you know, I got some of my favorite stories and testimonies of people that you might not know. Like this young lady right here, she actually was 350 to 850 is credit score range. So she was kind of in the worst case category as a young person going to buy a car. She went to work with our experts at Credit Max. They took her from 356 to 355 to 763 over a 90-day period. Am I making sense so far?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
she went from the worst score you could possibly get to being the first one of her granddad's grandchildren to buy a car without him as a co-signer. And then you got my good friend Jessica Shuford out of Montgomery, Alabama. Jessica and her husband both had Credit Max go to work on their credit scores, 3-figure increases. But here's the thing. One membership covers both halves of a married couple. And over on the right, there's my brother. It's not just for people that have bad credit. It's that people know credit as a financial weapon. Meaning, you got an 805, you get that extra 10 points on 817, you get to ask different things. And I'm not just talking about people who've done a thing. I'm talking as a person that's done a thing. They helped me get up to an 810 and have me on a plan to be at an 848 over the next 30 days. Now, is there anybody else out there on the line want to share quickly your Credit Max testimony, your beginning and your end so far? Meaning it's not over because credit's ever evolving. So there's always work they can do.
Hi, this is Gwendolyn Dotson from Atlanta, Georgia, and Snellville.
Hey, Ms. Gwen, how are you?
I am doing just fine. Thank you for having me. Yes, I had came into MWR in November, and I uploaded my 2 pay stubs, and I sent in my 3 years of tax forms, my husband and I came into the business. And the next month, I saw an increase of my credit score go up 50 points. 3 months later in March, my husband came into the business. I uploaded all of his credit, everything. Also, we took a copy of our driver's license, and he had some medical expenses because he had a hip surgery. Well, guess what? We paid off $2,000 worth of medical expenses. Now, today, my credit score went up 10 points, another
Awesome.
10 points. Today, my credit score is 90 points.
Awesome.
wow.
Awesome. Up 90 points so far. And here's the thing, as long as we keep the experts working, they'll keep doing things to make our story even better the next time, because one of the things that Ms. Gwen mentioned was the idea of eliminating debt. Yes, we believe in debt elimination. Now, there are tons of stories in credit, but here's where we start helping people plot their journey of financial success. And with our Equity Max pillar, here's the thing that you got to understand. Debt-free, write that in your notes. Debt-free is a new free. I'm gonna just say it. Debt-free is a new free. And you got to understand two things. That a creditor has a plan for your money. You know what their plan is? To have you pay as much and as long, as much interest as you possibly can for as long as you can, because that's how they make money. That makes them profitable. But guess what? You can also have a plan if you put experts to work, like my friend Charlotte did. If you look at what her creditor's plan was for, they had her in debt for 111 more years. That's how debt becomes generational instead of wealth. Am I making sense?
Yes.
Equity Max put together a plan and said, no, we're going to get you out of debt in 2 years and 6 months. Understand the power? Just them understanding and plotting on your behalf gives you the position of being able to do something different. Good friend Tequila, she was able to knock 10 years off of her debt sentence. And I do say debt sentence because it is kind of what they say in the Bible. They say that the borrower is slave to the lender. How many of you ready to get out of slavery?
Mm.
And I was too. And here's the exciting thing. Not only does it calculate your debt-free date, it also says taking the same money that you have, meaning your current income, it calculates once you're paid off the debts, what your millionaire date would be. How many of you would love to put your millionaire date in your calendar and then see if you can get Christmas to come earlier? I'm talking about what I did, meaning I went through the same plan, same system, went from 24 years paying for some college expenses, 2 degrees, and one that we just decided it's really no longer good for us to be borrowing money for this, to 9 years, saving about $270,000 at this point. And most important, knowing like I know when I'll be debt free. And if it wasn't enough to help people pay off the bills that they already have, we just added the service. It goes to bat negotiating with the bills that you can never pay off. Who'd like a lower cable and internet bill, lower cell phone bill, lower alarm system bill? How many of you like their bills to be as low as possible? Because if your bills are low, that means that your money doesn't have to all go out the door to bills. It can stay with you longer and do different things. So let me pause and ask if any of the new people have any questions about what I talked about in terms of the first shift is getting your money back. So does everybody understand where we get your money back from? We get your money back from the taxes, we get your money back from the lenders, and we get your money back from the people that are sending you bills. Questions about where we're getting the money back from. Now, here's the second smart question. Once you get the money back, what do you do with it? Because how many of you have gone to a college where they did not teach Wealth Mastery 101 or Generational Wealth 202? Meaning I think most of us got trained to do the same 2 things. They said, put your money in the bank, get a checking account and a savings account at the bank around the corner, and then invest 10% in your 401k till you max it out. How many of you, that's about what they gave you? Well, let's examine that, right? Because if we think about process, traditional bank does 2 things. It takes in your money and it loans it out, right? Meaning if you got money in the bank around the corner, you get a low rate of return, under 1% interest per year on the money that you have in the bank. Now, guess what, Earl? 1% isn't even keeping up with inflation. So if you have money in the bank, it's actually losing money.
Yes, sir. That's true.
Right? And then they lend out your money and they get great interest rates. Mortgages, car loans, student loans, credit cards. Matter of fact, if you got money in the bank, when you go to borrow that money, you actually are borrowing your own money, but you have to pay interest to borrow, and you got to qualify to borrow it. They set the terms, and that's what they say. Dollar only doing one thing, comes in, goes out. Well, with Wealth Max, I got introduced to the concept of a private reserve account. It's an opportunity for us to be our own bank. How many of you just love the sound of being your own bank?
Yes.
But what's even better than the sound of it is the reality that you
Love
get
it.
to do what banks do, meaning private reserve account, it actually grows at the rate of the stock market. It's indexed to the market. When the market goes up, it goes up. But unlike our 401ks that have had those 911k days, how many of you had a heart attack pattern on your 401k all year, just up, down, always up? And then you can borrow money from yourself, meaning you put 50,000 aside in your private reserve account. Now you get to do the process, which the bank calls arbitrage. You get to borrow money from yourself. So you need to buy a car, borrow the money from yourself. You set the loan terms to pay it back, but the account still performs like all 50,000 is in the bank. Right now growing at 7 to 11%. So you compare what an 11% interest rate does over time. We'll talk about that when we do the banker's secret again. Remind me, we got to teach the banker's secret, Earl, so that they know. And then we get into land banking. Now land, here's something you got to write in your notes. 2/3 of the wealth in the world is in real estate. And that number is always growing, but the amount of land is not growing. We got a fixed amount of earth. Does that make sense? Hey, Dr. Turnquest. So here's the idea. Think about this. We have a team of experts that are buying land for us in the path of growth. And every real estate investor will tell you, you make your money on a deal walking in the door. Meaning they buy 20 to 40% below market value, focusing on location, and timing. Meaning path of growth is actually something that's predictable based on a certain number of patterns. And I just judge it by my neighbors, because the neighbors for this property in Antelope Valley, California, Warren Buffett has his energy efficient bus company there, Kaiser Permanente's on the other corner. And then the Defense Department and the county of LA is actually building its first freeway in 25 years for the new growth in this market, taking people to new jobs, new housing. And oh, by the way, the Olympics are coming. And when you talk about a shift that moves a city and a population forward, is nothing like having the eyes of the world on you. Someone that grew up in Atlanta, I can tell you, Atlanta's a whole different place just based on the growth that happened from 1986 to 1996. Anybody in the path of growth, any of these formerly rural areas, which are now thriving suburbs, Conyers, Alpharetta, Fayetteville, all of those are places nobody ever went. Now lots of people live there, and the people that own the land were just in the right place at the right time. And right now we're averaging in this account 24% returns per year over 5-year hold time. That's bank money. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
I get excited about that every time I talk about it. Let me stop again. Make sure there's no questions, because we're going to shift our conversation to talk about, if you choose to, how we could help you add additional income to your household. Any questions about all the things that you get with the Financial Edge membership, meaning the tax strategies that got Earl McCray and his wife an extra $1,200 cash flowing into their house. The Credit Max system that helped Miss Gwendolyn increase her credit score by 90 so far, headed towards 100 points in just under 3 months. And the debt elimination system that helped save me $276,000 in interest, but more importantly, 17 years of my life. All that's what you get as a Financial Edge member. And if that's all you want, by the way, let me say this up front, you can get access and become a Financial Edge member for $79.97. But for people that want to know, well, what's the difference? What do I get if I take advantage of how the company would compensate me if I choose to? How many of you want to see the money? It's going to be a short conversation, because it doesn't take a long time to make this make sense. Because does everybody understand that what we do is help people drive their taxes down, their debts down, their credit up, and also their investments and cash flow? How many of you like that concept?
Love it.
How many of you would tell somebody that you had something that could do those things for them? And if you did those things and the company sent you money because you did it, how many of you would tell people?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, well, if you said yes to that, you're going to love this, because that's all we do. We expose people to the process. We educate them on how to implement it, and we give them access to a team of experts who execute it. And that puts us in a position where we've done 2 great things for people. Oops, Forgot to share these slides about people making success with land banking, but I am in a hurry. Because that's the goal. Taxes down, debts down, expenses down, stress down, and at the same time, investments, credit scores, income, cash flow, and just the overall attitude of abundance. Everybody say this to them. Just say this part out loud. I have more than enough.
I have more than enough.
I have more than enough. If we can just get good at
More
helping
than
people
enough.
move from the land of not enough to more than enough to abundance, abundant thinking, not what we can't do, what we can do. 10 different ways the company pays us. For the sake of time and clarity, I'm going to go through 3, maybe 4. But here's what I want you to understand. It's all based on the concept of word of mouth and leverage. So a question most people are asking up front is, if I invest $228 and I'm going to have a recurring cost of $119 a month, what do I need to do to get my money back? We don't play that. If all you want is your money back, keep it. That's not what we were doing here. We are creating a huge asset based on a small upfront investment. And there's no such thing as a free business, but there are 3 ways that we teach people to make sure that their business first is self-funding, but then becomes super profitable. First way is get a lot of government to pay for it. Because of the tax status you've put yourself in, most people, either through the first strategy of the instant pay raise, but definitely with TaxBot and the tax deductions, make way more money from their tax situation just getting started. Now, the second thing we do is we teach people, refer people to the membership, use it, get excited about all the things that you've done and now have clarity on. And by the time you have 3 people that just sign up to be members, your business is free. And the third thing, we actually have a blueprint for helping people through a process called Sponsor 3 and Hit ED. It does 2 amazing things. The first thing it does is pays more in bonuses than you initially invested. And second, produces a leveraged passive residual income. Those are fun words to live. Because it means I do something one time and I get paid for it over and over. Leveraged passive residual income of $150 a month. Now, quick question. Is 150 more than 119?
Absolutely.
So once you're making $150 a month, the business is now self-funding, and we can focus on helping create that same success for other people. Meaning, think about this. We have a motto. We have a mission. When you write it down in your notes so that you can embrace it. Success loves speed. Exactly. Rather than building slow, spending a lot of time trying to investigate the investigators, we inspect ourselves. And we just simply identify 3 people. Everybody say 3. 3 people that this makes the same sense to that it makes to you. So for the sake of this conversation, you found myself, Earl McCray, Liza Dillard, and Monifa Bartley. Do you think we get in? We get in business. We're already in. We already know what this does. But just helping the 3 of us get started pays you $150 plus the momentum bonus for doing it fast. And now your business has more than paid for itself. And then all you got to do is go to work helping us learn the system and do the same thing. You help each of us. You help me. You help Earl. You help Liza. Identify 3 more that think like us, because it's not for everybody. Let me say that too. Did I say that already? What we do isn't for everybody, and that's cool. You find the 3 that it does make sense for, that generates another $450. And then in the next 90 days, they give you 90 days, but I have a gentleman on the line that did it in a month. So who knows what you can do? But just imagine investing $228, a little bit of text equity, meaning this isn't hard work. We don't sweat a lot. We invite people to Zoom and let them decide if they want to lower their expenses, lower their taxes, lower their bills, lower their interest, get out of debt, and then invest in stuff that's better than what they were doing.
Text equity, I like that.
So keeping it that simple, that's $1,500 in 90 days or less, because as fast as you do it, that's how fast it grows. And then the next thing that we do, and keep this in mind, we put people in a position where most people are figuring out right now in America, no job is guaranteed.
That's right.
There's so many of my friends that it hurts me to have conversations with them where they've suddenly found out that Georgia is an at-will employer state. Meaning when things get tough, before they go out of business, they'll put you out of. With this business, we get daily guarantee anywhere from $5 a day to $1,000 a day. How many of you could find at least some breathing room somewhere between an extra $150 or $30,000 per month?
Oh yeah.
Now, I know,
Yes,
people
absolutely.
sometimes they see that concept of building a team of, 3 get 3 get 3, and they're like, I heard that before. But here's why you've heard it before. It's because it works.
Right.
If you ever get into a position where you think you're going to create wealth by yourself, you're missing the opportunity that leverage creates. Meaning they taught us in school to be leveraged, not create leverage. But
Right.
using this process with this leveraged income, we have a whole lot of people earning $20 a day. Some of them right here on this line. Now you got to do the math. $20 a day is $600 a month. And I saw Monica. Monica, by the way, thanks for helping out with the presentation today. I really appreciate your behind the scenes efforts. Yaz Anderson, Des, and Felicia. Now here's what's cool. That's a married couple. They have 2 incomes coming from this business into their home. She has a business and he has a business, both generating $20 per day. They get matching texts at 5:02.
Wow.
And then, there's Anita and Earl McCray. And look right here, right on the same page. That's my mom and daddy. That's Richard and Bertie Hardon. Just imagine being in a position where we're creating generational wealth as a family together at the same time. And there's Deidre Sampson. I just got through hanging out with her last night. For those of you that only know Deidre as this quiet face on Zoom, she is a blast. And then, graduating to the $30 a day, because here's what happens. You have more fun, you teach more people, you help them make more money, your check grows. And so you got new rock stars like Dana Turnquest, Vonda Bell, Trevor. You remember him from the Equity Max slide. He'll already be a debt-free millionaire based on paying off all his debts by this month. And on the rise. So again, there's people that look just like you. Oh, shoot, there's people that are you and me. Blessed to have gotten to the place where right now we're generating an extra $50 a day. That's an extra $1,500 a month with one of my friends that we literally have known each other since our 20s, but are now just in a position to take advantage of all of the successes being created by teaching people the power of income shifting. Then we get to our daily guarantee. 150, 100, and at $150 a day. Now that's my younger brother. How many of you met Chuck Hardon? If you hadn't, stay tuned. He's going to be on again this evening. I think he's at 8 or 9 p.m. You want to tune in and hear his amazing story of how he's incorporated this business, which now generates $150 a day. That's about $4,500 a month. How many of you know some people that don't make $4,500 a day at work?
Absolutely.
Anybody know? So just understand, same system, same process. And in addition to, because this is all extra, because he still works a full-time job, has a full-time wife, and 2 full-time busy daughters. So if you're busy, that's probably good for you. It's good for the business. They also add in addition to, so the daily guarantee, by the way, is the least that all of those people can make. There have been very few days in the business that I've made less than the daily guarantee. Made the daily guarantee, because there's more. Luxury vehicle bonus. Won't talk about the luxury or the vehicle. I'm gonna talk about bonus, meaning as you help people grow, as you personally produce and build, the company rewards in 3 tiers: $500, $1,250, $3,000. Let's just call it extra money. And I show the people beside the tier so that you know that it's people that look just like you and me. Now, you might not know any of these people. Those of you that are joining might know my friend Yaz Anderson or Brandon Caldwell. You might know this guy. That's Junior Keir Smith. It's one of those things. Most people don't know what radio personalities look like, but if you hear the funny guy that's on with Steve Harvey in the morning, it's him. He's also in this business supplementing his income, and now blessed to bless people that would normally ask him for money to give them the opportunity to make their own money. If you don't know this guy, I'm really confused about what we have been doing this whole conversation. And Sean Hill, we're gonna hear from you in a minute if you got time. And that's my brother. Right now, the $1,250 a month bonus on the way to $3,000. So you add that up, that's $4,500 plus $1,250, right? Y'all with me on the math? We have $5,750 in addition to what happens, because we're not one of those businesses that bash jobs. If you got a job, I salute you. Be thankful. Be thankful for your job, because your current income is the source of your future wealth if you use it right. Be thankful, but don't be satisfied. Then you got Miss Christy Howard. We call her Cash Flow Christy, you know, one of the rock stars in the business and in the industry. Absolute master of the comp plan, and that's why she's at the top of the luxury car bonus. And we're all learning a system from Brian Bean. Now, I've known Brian Bean since he was a small child, and it's been amazing watching him build his business and business systems. Now, as a disclaimer, every car on this page he already owned before he ever heard of MWR. He's a vintage car collector. So he had all 12 titles, all 12 notes, but if they send him $3,000, how many of you know he can find something to do with it?
I'm sure.
Last thing I'm gonna talk about, not because there's not more, but I know at some point there's a thing called suspension of belief. Meaning at some point, just depending on the money you've made, you might not believe that they pay people like this, but they do. And as you go and as you grow, we get to the presidential bonus, three tiers 1 through 9, from $500 extra per month to $100,000, just in this one bonus. How many of you could imagine a bonus that pays out on the 10th of the month, $100,000, and it'll be right back at you? See, I took my $500 payment when it got there, and I just put some more zeros on it and sent it to myself to get the motivation going, to know what that would feel like. Does that make sense? Proud to be at level 1 in the presidential bonus, but even more excited that we're right on path to get to the next level, which is $1,000 a month. And just imagine that's in addition to the other money that we've talked about. Now, I think I've shown you enough money right now. How many of you feel like you've seen enough money? Because here's a concept. We're learning a business system from right now one of the pace setters in this country, in this company, someone that's earning an extra $15,000 a month minimum plus the max luxuries. This is $45,000 a month in business income. Yeah, let me just stop right there. This presentation is over. Let me stop and get a testimony before I get excited for real. Here. So thinking about all the things that we've talked about, think about all the times that we've discussed. I do want to share a perspective from one of my good friends. We really, thinking about when we first met, we were both about 100 pounds lighter and had tall hair.
Yeah.
We've raised families, built business, and what we're most excited about right now is how quickly we're able to impact people and put them in a position to do different things in a year where doing something different is critical. So I won't hold him back from you any longer. He is a teacher by day, financial educator all night, and an entrepreneur all day, every day, now day. That's Sean T. Hill. Sean, you want to share with the people? What do you want to tell them today? What do you want to tell them?
I just want to tell them that I don't know what that last word, what was that? And day?
And day.
My
You
goodness.
lived in Atlanta long enough to know that.
Letters, didn't it? That was amazing. But I tell you what, man, I'm just sitting here cheesing from ear to ear because I'm just watching people receive the same blessing that I received on June the 9th. I mean, this is the same conversation. I'll be honest with you, 2 minutes in, just because of who Richard is and our history and what I've been able to see him do growing up, it's just, I mean, I was already in. I just needed to know what it was. But what he told me that he was going to show me and share with me what he had already accomplished. I mean, he showed you guys this evening. He has actually maximized every pillar of the Financial Edge membership. And then every time he clicked some slides, he was on them in the compensation plan. And so when you get the opportunity to actually, work with somebody that's already done a thing, I always tell people, huge difference between mentors and advisors. Mentors show you and share with you what they've done and what they're doing. Advisors tell you what they would do if they ever did anything. And it's just been a blessing to have a mentor that would show me how to get on the same slides that he was on in a lot less time, because not only did he share with me what to do, when I was having these ideas of things that I thought I might want to do, he was like, no, you don't want to do that. This is how that turns out. And I was able to avoid a lot of those same pitfalls. So I thank you for all of that, brother.
Man, my pleasure. And man, keep doing what you're doing. I see the success that you're creating around the country. Liza, you did not tell me you have a new store. Are you going to share it today, or are we going to talk about it next time?
I can share it today.
Now keep this in perspective. Sean Hill got in business, June? It's a couple of months ago. He's really old. Liza, I just met you on Zoom last week. Tell us what happened.
Well, you've known me for a while. You just didn't know you knew me. But so I actually joined last week, and I was kind of cyber stalking Sean. I've been watching his little posts and watch parties, and so I hit him up and I was like, "Hey, what you talking about?" And so he told me what he was talking about, and I watched a meeting just like this, and I signed up. And then I had a meeting just like this. And then I signed up one of my longtime friends that I've known for about 20 years, being in the military. And then he signed up. And then I put in my Money Max information, my 2 stubs, and my tax returns. And it came back a couple of days later, and I got a $600 raise. So
608.
608. 08.
Get all 8.
And then I just got my email back saying that my letters are off for the credit max too. So I'm moving.
Awesome.
Moving. I'm
and
ready.
That's as simple as it gets. If we keep this thing super simple, we can position people for success on a large scale. I don't actually have time to explain the details of how to get the 10K giveaway, but you, and I do mean you, especially if you're new looking at this, just know that myself, along with a number of other executives, Dr. Hill, Dana Turnquest, my brother Chuck Hart and Brian Bean, we put together a pot of $10,000 available for business scholarship for people that are ready to go back to business school with us. Now, to qualify, you got to have started between July 15th and they extended it to at least today. So by 9/2 at 9:25, when we're going to start the drawing, make sure to get back with the person that introduced you today to see if you qualify for us to help invest in you, because that's the best investment you can make in your life, is an investment in you and your personal and business. Now, for the sake of time, we just sort these out together. There's always 3 categories of people at the end of the conversation, and we want to make sure that you know, just decide which one is you. It's not a lot of pressure in this thing. If you're a number 3, meaning this isn't for you, fine. Spend a whole lot of time in the gym, got big arms, but they're not to twist yours. If this isn't for you, here's what I want you to do. Refer other people. Thank the person that invited you, because I want you to understand where we are. We're so new. Most people don't know what we're doing yet, but we're going to change the world financially. So if they thought of you, you might not have known they thought that much of you. Just refer them to somebody that could use some daily pay or professional help getting their finances taken care of. If you're category number 2 means I like it. I love it. I love the idea of it. I don't think I've heard anybody say I don't need any extra money, but what they're saying between the lines is I don't feel comfortable necessarily building a business yet. And that's fine too. Just take advantage of the membership. Financial Edge membership, $79 helps you get your money back and put your money back to work. Does that make sense? And the third person, the category number 1 person. So there's a quick website that you go through to sign up and get started. But category number 1, it's actually who I'm looking to meet today. I'm all the way in. I want all of my money shifted back to me. I want my shifted income to get shifted into vehicles where it grows to the point where my money makes more money than me. And then I want to put some more money on top of that money. If you're number 1, text a person that invited you, or if you're on a watch party, inbox a person whose watch party you're on. Don't text them, I am a number 1. Text them, I am the one. I'm the one that's going to kick this off for my family. I want to start a legacy for my family and make sure that things are better for my last name, because that's who I'm working for. They'll send you to a website. You click on this box, leave all the boxes checked, go through the second page. This will probably auto-populate with all your other online buying. And then when you get down here to the end, just remember, below the join now button, there's a checkbox and a little place to write that squiggly signature. And when you sign up, it'll take you over to the dashboard, which will launch your business. And we will teach and guide step for step, word for word, on how to build the business using our simple Sponsor 3 and Hit ED game plan. Won't go into training on that document tonight. I will in this call and just say, make a choice, decide, and then take action. That being said, this is Richard Hardon, Richard and Bertie's biggest boy. It has been my plum pleasing pleasure and privilege to serve and share. As we get together and make the shift, not only will we shift our income, we're going to shift our situations, change the world. Good night, everybody.
Excellent, excellent. Love it.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Richard. Good
Thank
night.
Good
you.
night.
I ain't touched my
Thank
notes.
you.
buddy.
No, no.
Great job, Richard.
Yeah, you